the spirit of the great Mansa Musa. How many of y'all familiar with Mansa Musa? Well, if you're unfamiliar, Mansa Musa is the richest man to ever walk the continent of the planet Earth. And this man was from the Empire of Mali. This was an African man. The richest man to ever walk the planet Earth was an African man. That's a beautiful thing. That's one thing that lets you know that Black Lives Matter, because what you got to understand is they say that Pythagoras is the father of Greek philosophy. But in Pythagoras' books, he said that he is a child of Imhotep. Imhotep is an African man that lived 1,500 years before Pythagoras. So with that being said, we are all the products of some great thing that came up out of Africa. We are all a greater people as long as we move in unison. You know, it makes me feel wonderful when I'm outside and I see people of all ethnicities understanding that Black lives do matter, man. Because if Black lives don't matter, how can any life matter, man? And with that being said, I want to say Ashe.
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 Now we gonna call on the ancestors. We gonna call on the ancestors that ain't too far away. We gonna call on the great El-Haj Malik Shabazz, the great Malcolm X. People say that Malcolm was a racist and Malcolm taught hate. Malcolm did not speak hate. Malcolm did not speak racism. Malcolm spoke love. And all he was saying was, man, we will rise as long as we unify, and we gonna do this by any means necessary. You know what I'm saying? And we gotta understand that you got people saying it's a black or a white thing, but I know that there were white people standing on the front lines for liberation long time ago. When we was on the front line, there was a lot of white people that died in the midst of our freedom, in the midst of our liberation. For that, we say Ashe.
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 But we call also on the spirit of the great Nat Turner. Nat Turner was a man that just wasn't going. You know what I'm saying? He was like, yo, we seek freedom. We seek justice. We seek equality. And with that being said, he was willing to put his life on the line for it. Same thing with Dr. King. He was a powerful man. And anybody who has put their life on the line for the things that they believe, how could you have anything bad to say about those great people? Those are phenomenal people. And with that, we say Ashe.
Ashe.
And I want to pour a little libation for that. So when I pour it into the grass, we're going to say libation. Libation.
Libation.
Libation.
Libation.
Alright, now we're going to call on the ancestors that's in our family. You know, when people be like, man, you look just like Uncle June, or you look just like Uncle Willie, or Big Mama. You act just like Uncle Johnny, or Auntie Pearl, or this and that. You know how people be like, you look like them? You don't only look like your ancestors, you are the manifestation of your ancestors. So with that being said, I want y'all to call their names out, man. Anybody that y'all can remember in your family that has had some kind of impact on your life, say their names, man. They hear you. Say their names. Don't be afraid. This ain't no spookism. This is paying homage. Say their names. Say their names. Ashe. Man, this is beautiful, man. And last but not least, we gonna call on the unborn. Because, you know, many times when we moving towards promise and prosperity, they try to bury us. You know, they try to bury us. But what they don't understand is when you bury a seed, the seed grows. And what they didn't realize is that we are the seed. And we gonna plant this prosperity into our communities for right now and also for the community that's to come in the future. So we call upon the spirits of the unborn child, the unborn kids that haven't even made it to the world yet. We call on them. And to that we say Ashe.
Ashe.
And we ask that the great ancestors cover us with promise, prosperity, love, unity, Kuji Chakalia, which is self-determination as we move forward. And with that being said, libation. It is done, and I love you all. Let me hear you say black people, how y'all feel today? Man, if y'all feeling fantastic, man, I want to hear y'all say y'all feeling black-tastic right about now, because black is beautiful. How y'all feeling right about now? One more time, how y'all feeling right about now? Absolutely, man. My name is GLC. I am a two-time Grammy Award-winning artist that grew up on the south side of Chicago. I'm the man that designed the first Welcome to Inglewood landmark sign for the city of Chicago to help shine the light on the Inglewood community in which I was born in, you know what I'm saying? I am also the brother of the late, great Baba Kwesi Ronald Harris. If anybody have any idea who that great man is, man, when I say Baba, I want to hear you say Kwesi. Baba.
Kwesi.
Baba.
Kwesi.
There we have it. Now with that being said, we're going to say and we're going to pour a libation. For those of you that are unfamiliar with what a libation is, it's pretty much paying homage to the ancestors. We say that if everybody can have guardian angels, why can't we have our ancestors, you know? And if you all don't believe that this is something that carried over African tradition that survived the Middle Passage, just think about growing up in Chicago. When your homies die, what do? You pour out a little liquor to them, right or wrong. That's libation. Now, today we're going to use water. Water is a life force. And we're going to pour it into a living vessel, which is a plant, because the ancestors are life. And we all have mitochondrial DNA, which is the DNA of our great ancestors, because whether we know it or not, if you look up science and you study history, you find that all life began where? Where did all life begin? What continent did all life begin on? What continent did all life begin on? So with that being said, we are all a great manifestation of some great ancestor that walked the continent of Africa over 40,000 generations ago. And with that, I want to hear y'all say Ashe. Ashe means let it manifest or let it be. Ashe.
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 There we have it. Now with that being said, we're going to pay homage to the absolute. Now, in ancient Africa, we would call the absolute Ogun, Oshun, Amen, Amen-Ra, Obatula. And today, in the manifestation terms that made it across the Atlantic, we say Jesus, we say the Christ, we say Allah. We don't exclude anybody because we all meet God where we are and who we are as a people. And as long as we believe in the absolute, we can overcome, man. So let y'all give it up one time for the absolute. Ashe.
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 Now with that being said, before I can go on, I must ask anybody that's out in the crowd that is an elder, anybody that's out there that's an elder that's older than me, and I'm like pretty old as y'all can see, you know what I'm saying? But anybody that's older than me, I ask if I may speak before I can carry on. And the reason that I ask is because we cannot shame elderhood. Elderhood is the most important thing that we have. And if we listen to our elders and if we study the ancestors that came before us, we realize that we are only here simply because we stand on the shoulders of the elders and the ancestors that came before us. So one time for the ancestors. Ashe.
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 All right, now with the elders out there, I ask, may I speak?
Yes, you can.
May I speak, elders?
Yes, you can.
And with that being said, I'm going to continue. So now we're going to call out to the ancestors, the great Nzinga, the warrior queen, who told the man that if you all will not fight, then we will fight. As the Portuguese came and tried to snatch the brothers and sisters off the continent and take them up out of Angola, she told the women, she was like, man, we gonna stand on this front line. And with that being said, it made the man stand behind and fight, and fight for what's right and fight for liberation. And with that, we say Ashe.
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 Yes, sir. Now, Black love is
Black power.
Black love is
Black power.
Black love is
Black power.
Ashe.
Ashe.
So, we out in this community for a very particular reason. We've been working with Urban Juncture, which has Boxville over there, the Bronzeville Jerk Shop, this community garden. We've been working with Friends of 51st, which has the Block Club. We've been working with the brothers and sisters off the block to stay in this building. The lovely families, there's about over 115 or so families to stay here in this community. And it's important because we've been doing work to put pressure. And the kind of pressure we've been doing and talking about is that we need resources. Every time I talk to one of the guys, every time I talk to a mother, we ask them what do they need? What is this community lacking? We look down here, we see nothing but vacant lots. And further down, you see abandoned buildings. But that's not unique to this neighborhood. We can see the same in Roseland, in Inglewood, in Austin, in Lawndale, in Chatham, right? So why is that? If you know the history of Bronzeville, which is over 100 years, this is a history of people pushed into this community. Sometimes people romanticize the so-called Great Migration, but the reality is our elders, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers, and great-granddaddies were sharecropping in the South out of Mississippi, Memphis, Alabama, and they were being killed and pushed off their land and forced to come here. And when they got forced to come here, they were forced into segregation. They were pushed into here to the black belt and onto the west side. So we've experienced Jim Crow, and we've experienced 100 years of being deprived of resources, being forced into poverty. We've experienced violence pushed onto our black and brown bodies. The reason why we're here today is because people always want to talk about the violence, stop the violence, and always pointing the fingers at our young people.